Jerusalem's Last Light, the story of Baldwin IV, read and published by Mr. Books. The history of the Crusades is imbued with tales of valor, conflict, and the relentless pursuit of power. Among the myriad figures who shaped this tumultuous period, none evoke as much intrigue as Baldwin IV of Jerusalem, the illustrious boy king who ascended to the throne amidst a tumultuous landscape in the late 12th century. Jerusalem's Last Light, the story of Baldwin IV, delves into the life of this remarkable monarch, whose reign was marked by the struggles of a kingdom beset on all sides by enemies and internal strife. Baldwin IV, born in 1161, is a figure cloaked in both tragedy and legend. Ascending to the throne at the tender age of 13, he faced monumental challenges, most prominently the looming threat of Saladin, the Sultan who would ultimately reshape the political landscape of the Holy Land. However, Baldwin's reign was not only defined by this relentless external pressure, it was also a time of complex internal dynamics that saw power struggles and betrayals within his own court. The boy king displayed an unparalleled blend of military acumen and political sophistication, managing to hold his kingdom together against overwhelming odds while battling the debilitating effects of leprosy. Jerusalem's Last Light chronicles Baldwin's journey, highlighting his strategic battles and the fragile alliances he forged to maintain his kingdom's sovereignty. Each chapter sheds light on the unique aspects of his character, portraying him not merely as a king, but as a human who bore the weight of his responsibilities with grace, despite his suffering. The narrative is structured to provide readers with a comprehensive view of the historical context surrounding Baldwin IV, exploring the significance of his reign within the broader framework of the Crusades. Moreover, this book contemplates the legacy left behind by Baldwin IV, reflecting on how his fight against Saladin and his attempts at diplomacy have reverberated through history, culminating not just in a tale of loss, but also of perseverance and resilience. While Baldwin's kingdom ultimately succumbed to external pressure and internal discord, his legacy endures as a symbol of a formidable yet fleeting chapter in the history of Jerusalem. As we embark on this exploration, we invite you to journey back to the 12th century to witness the trials and tribulations of one of history's most enigmatic figures. Through meticulous research and vivid storytelling, Jerusalem's Last Light, the story of Baldwin IV, aims to illuminate a past that, while shrouded in darkness, ultimately heralds the resilience of the human spirit. Before we dive in, make sure to subscribe and hit that like button to support the channel. And don't forget to turn on the notification bell so you never miss an audiobook that could change your life. Now, let's begin. Enjoy. Chapter 1. The Crusader Kingdom, a historical overview. The Crusader Kingdom of Jerusalem was established in the aftermath of the First Crusade, which successfully captured the city in 1099. This monumental event set the stage for 2 centuries of Crusader rule in the region, characterized by a unique blend of Western European and Middle Eastern cultures. The early years of the kingdom were marked by further military campaigns, significant territorial expansion, and the establishment of powerful castles that served as both military fortifications and administrative centers. The Kingdom of Jerusalem underwent rapid developments in its structure and governance. Initially, the realm was characterized by a feudal system, wherein territories were granted to knights and lords who pledged loyalty to the king. The diverse population comprised not only the native Christians, but also a significant number of Muslims and Jews, which created a complex societal fabric. The ruling elite were primarily of Frankish descent, advanced in their military exploits, while grappling with the realities of coexistence and governance in a land rich with diverse religions and cultures. Central to maintaining control over this crucible of conflict was the king, whose authority was both secular and spiritual. The figure of the king embodied the hopes of the Christian populace, while representing a critical defense against the surrounding Islamic powers. The challenges of governing such a kingdom were manifold, as local conflicts, power struggles, and the constant threat from Muslim leaders loomed large. Baldwin IV ascended to the throne in a period marked by these complexities. After a series of intelligent marriages and alliances formed by his predecessors, the groundwork was laid for Baldwin's reign. His early years were shadowed by political machinations and the constant specter of military conflict with Saladin, a formidable adversary whose ambition to unify the Islamic territories posed an existential threat to the division of Jerusalem and its surrounding areas. Amidst ongoing warfare, the succession of Baldwin IV as a leprous king was both a personal and political quandary. The royal family sought to preserve their lineage, and in Baldwin IV's case, his military capabilities were often at odds with his physical limitations due to the illness that afflicted him. Yet, in the face of adversity, Baldwin's tactical decisions and leadership qualities earned him respect among both allies and adversaries. His ability to command the loyalty of his troops stood as a testament to his character, despite his frail state. Throughout Baldwin IV's reign, the kingdom faced several pivotal moments. Key battles, such as the Battle of Montgizard in 1177, highlight his military ingenuity and ability to inspire his forces. These dramatic encounters not only shaped his legacy, but also defined the nature of Crusader resistance against the forces of Saladin. In essence, the Crusader Kingdom of Jerusalem was not merely a battleground, it was a melting pot of culture, faith, and ambition. The dynamic between the European settlers and their Muslim counterparts offered fertile ground for rich narratives of conflict and cooperation. Baldwin IV's story unfolds within this broader tapestry, as we witness a young boy's extraordinary resolve as he navigates the complexities of kingship in a land steeped in turmoil. As we delve deeper into Baldwin IV's life, we will explore the intricacies of his reign, the battles fought, and the crucial alliances forged in an attempt to preserve both Jerusalem and his fragile legacy. We begin with his ascension to the throne, a pivotal moment that altered the course of both his life and the history of the Crusader Kingdom. Chapter 2. Baldwin IV, the Boy King's Ascendancy. Baldwin IV was born into a world rife with conflict and expectation, as the grandson of Godfrey of Bouillon, one of the leaders of the First Crusade. His lineage positioned him as a symbol of the hope for Christian control over Jerusalem, but it also carried the weight of immense responsibility from a young age. Baldwin's early life was intricately woven with the legacy of his forebears, imbuing him with the qualities and expectations of a noble warrior king. His childhood was far from tranquil. The tumultuous political landscape of the Crusader states continuously pressured the young prince. As Baldwin grew, he witnessed the fraught relationships within the nobility, where allegiances shifted like sand. These early experiences would prove to be significant influences on his future decisions and governance style. His mother, Agnes of Courtenay, played a crucial role in his early education and formative years, instilling in him both the lessons of courage and the realities of political maneuvering. At the age of 13, Baldwin IV's life transformed dramatically when he ascended to the throne following the death of his uncle, King Amalric I. His coronation in 1174 was not merely a ceremonial affair. It was a solemn recognition of the burdensome reality awaiting the young king. The kingdom was teetering on the edge of chaos, with the ambitious Saladin poised to exploit any weakness within the Crusader ranks. Elected king amidst a backdrop of vulnerability, Baldwin IV faced the daunting task of asserting his authority. Many in his court doubted his ability to navigate the treacherous waters of leadership due to his young age and crippling illness. However, Baldwin quickly demonstrated that while he may have been a boy, he possessed the heart of a lion. His acute awareness of the political landscape allowed him to form alliances with influential nobles, as he sought to stabilize his rule amid growing tensions both within and outside Jerusalem. One of Baldwin's first significant decisions as king was to appoint trusted advisors who were not only loyal, but also politically astute. Figures such as the influential military leader, Reynold of Chelon, infused a sense of aggression in dealing with Muslim forces. Baldwin understood that strength would be required if he was to maintain control, leading him to take bold steps to counteract Saladin's advances. The ambitious Reynold's aggressive policies, while sometimes reckless, bolstered Baldwin's reputation as a king willing to defend his realm fiercely. In 1176, Baldwin's leadership was put to the test when Saladin launched a series of raids aimed at crippling Crusader lines of defense. Baldwin displayed remarkable strategy, and although he was physically weakened by illness, he led his troops with determination. His legendary victory at the Battle of Montgizard in 1177, despite being outnumbered, serves as a testament to his tactical brilliance and audacity. The battle became a symbol of Christian resistance against overwhelming odds, marking a high point in Baldwin's reign. Baldwin IV's ascendance was marked not only by military might, but also by an appreciation for diplomacy. Understanding the need to secure Jerusalem's defenses, he often sought negotiations. His efforts to forge alliances with neighboring Christian states exemplified a more measured approach to kingship, recognizing that while military campaigns were crucial, so too was the art of diplomacy in preserving his kingdom's fragile peace. As Baldwin's reign progressed, the specter of his illness began to loom larger over his kingship. Diagnosed with leprosy, Baldwin faced growing concerns about his fitness to rule, propelling discussions about succession to the forefront of court politics. He struggled not only against external foes, but also within his own family and court, balancing his obligations as a king with the reality of his deteriorating health. His illness made him more acutely aware of the need for a successor, thus intensifying political alliances and rifts within the nobility. In conclusion, Baldwin IV's ascendancy as the boy king was a complex interplay of strength, strategy, and resilience against a backdrop of uncertainty. His ability to navigate the political and military landscape of the time marked him as a unique figure in the annals of Crusader history. As we will explore in the following chapters, Baldwin's leadership and the challenges posed by Saladin would continue to define not just his reign, but the fate of Jerusalem itself. Chapter 3. The Rise of Saladin, the Opponent. The emergence of Saladin as a formidable force in the late 12th century marked a significant shift in the balance of power in the Holy Land. Born in Tikrit around 1137, Saladin rose through the ranks with remarkable speed due to his military prowess and astute political acumen. His rapid ascent was fueled by a decisive combination of charisma, strategic marriages, and military initiatives, allowing him to unite disparate Muslim factions against a common foe, the Crusaders. After consolidating power in Egypt, Saladin launched a campaign to expand his influence over the Levant, presenting a direct challenge to the existence of the Crusader Kingdom of Jerusalem. As Baldwin IV took the throne, Saladin had already established himself as a central figure in the Muslim world. His reputation further enhanced by a series of successful military operations against Crusader outposts. The backdrop of rivalry and animosity between Baldwin's fledgling reign and Saladin's ambitions set the stage for an epic confrontation over the heart of Jerusalem. Saladin's defining characteristic was his commitment to jihad, a term that transcended mere military ambition and encompassed a spiritual and moral duty to reclaim Muslim-held territories. His vision of Islamic unity resonated with many, allowing him to forge a coalition that significantly increased his military capacity, bringing together various factions who often viewed their differences as secondary to the greater objective of facing the Crusaders. Unlike many of his predecessors, Saladin sought not only territorial expansion, but also the restoration of Islamic authority in the region. This ideological fervor became a rallying point against the Crusaders. Saladin's campaign strategy involved methodical intelligence gathering and the deployment of battlefield strategies that emphasized the strengths of his forces while exploiting the weaknesses of his opponents. By taking advantage of the disunity among the Crusaders, he orchestrated raids and skirmishes that undermined their morale and territorial stability. His campaigns were characterized by a deep understanding of the terrain, utilizing ambush tactics and rapid strikes that kept the Crusader forces off balance. Baldwin's early successes against Saladin in battles, such as Montgizard, exemplified both kings' contrasting styles. While Baldwin excelled in direct confrontations through rapid and decisive military action, Saladin's overarching goals were achieved through a mix of attrition and psychological warfare. His ability to engage in diplomacy, even as he prepared for war, allowed him to win the support of neutral factions and instill fear into his adversaries. Despite early setbacks against Baldwin IV, Saladin's resolve never wavered. He understood that to finally regain Jerusalem, he needed both military victories and public support among the Muslim populace. The retaking of key fortresses became a priority as Saladin methodically dismantled Crusader defenses and destabilized their supply lines. His capacity for patience and tactical flexibility often contrasted with the more impetuous nature of Crusader commanders. One significant turning point came with the massive military campaign launched by Saladin in 1187. This culminated in the confrontation at the Battle of Hattin, where Baldwin IV, weakened and unable to lead from the front, faced Saladin's well-coordinated forces. The battle resulted in a devastating defeat for the Crusaders, allowing Saladin to capture the Templar and Hospitaller Knights, who had long been the backbone of Crusader military efforts. The fall of Hattin not only obliterated Crusader morale, but also paved the way for Saladin's subsequent capture of Jerusalem later that year. Saladin's ascendant strategy was not merely confined to military conquest. It also involved a keener awareness of propaganda and the value of perception in warfare. He positioned himself as the champion of Islamic unity, framing his campaign against the Crusaders as a sacred duty. This narrative resonated deeply within the Muslim community, garnering him widespread support and portraying the Crusaders as foreign invaders. Ultimately, the rise of Saladin represented a confluence of military tactics, political savvy, and ideological conviction. His legacy, imprinted upon the sands of Jerusalem, would resonate long after Baldwin IV's reign came to an end. The battles fought between them were not merely of men, they were a clash of ideologies, shaping the future of the Holy Land for generations to come. As the saga unfolds, we will explore the key battles and alliances formed during this period, and how the intertwined fates of Baldwin IV and Saladin would irrevocably alter the course of history. Chapter 4: Battles and Betrayals. Key conflicts in Baldwin's reign. The reign of Baldwin IV was punctuated by a series of brutal conflicts and political intrigues that defined the landscape of the Crusader Kingdom. The young king's ability to navigate this tumult, battling both external foes and internal discord, would ultimately shape his legacy as a ruler. This chapter explores the key battles during Baldwin's reign and the complex webs of loyalty and betrayal that emerged within his court. One of the most notable conflicts was the Battle of Montgizard in 1177. Faced with a vastly superior army, led by Saladin, Baldwin's forces were outnumbered and pressured heavily. Yet, driven by a fierce desire to defend his realm, Baldwin displayed extraordinary tactical insight. Utilizing the element of surprise, Baldwin launched a counter-offensive that resulted in a remarkable victory. His leadership in bringing together a diverse coalition of knights and local soldiers revealed his ability to inspire loyalty, even in dire circumstances. The triumph at Montgizard not only boosted Crusader morale, but also reiterated Baldwin's prowess as a military leader. However, such victories were often marred by the continuous threat posed by Saladin's forces. The ongoing skirmishes served to underscore the precariousness of Baldwin IV's hold on Jerusalem. Each battle revealed chinks in the armor of his kingdom, as political maneuverings and personal rivalries within the court often destabilized his rule. Figures such as Reynold of Tillon, whose actions sometimes ran counter to Baldwin's strategic aims, created a fractious environment that complicated the king's military mission. Reynold's predilection for aggressive raids against Muslim caravans further strained Baldwin's diplomatic relations. While his endeavors to maintain a robust defense over Christian territories won him supporters, they also attracted Saladin's ire. The tensions reached a boiling point when Baldwin, recognizing the need for a unified front, was forced to restrain the reckless actions of Reynold, even as he acknowledged the latter's potential contributions on the battlefield. The betrayal of loyalties and shifting allegiances among Baldwin's vassals further complicated his reign. Noble families often sought to leverage their influence for personal gain, diminishing the solidarity necessary for effectively countering Saladin. The notorious disputes between factions within the court, particularly between the Ibelin family and the royal authority, exacerbated the instability. Baldwin had to walk a fine line, offering concessions to powerful lords while simultaneously reinforcing his kingship, a task that proved increasingly difficult. As Baldwin's illness progressed, the specter of succession loomed large over the crown. His leprosy not only incapacitated him physically, but also symbolized the vulnerabilities of the Crusader Kingdom. Political machinations took center stage as powerful nobles vied for influence, each positioning themselves in expectation of Baldwin's potential demise. The struggles for power during his reign often resembled a game of chess, with advisors and relatives maneuvering to secure their foothold in a kingdom on the brink. In 1183, Baldwin's condition forced him to name his sister Sibylla and her son as heirs to the throne. This decision birthed a new set of political complications as various factions rallied around Sibylla, creating rivalries that would have lasting consequences for the stability of Jerusalem. The internal strife, compounded by external threats, painted the realm into a precarious corner, straining Baldwin's authority even further. The capture of Jerusalem by Saladin in 1187 marked the culmination of these conflicts, with Baldwin IV unable to present a united front against the formidable strategist. The subsequent loss of Jerusalem would shatter the hope and vision Baldwin had for his kingdom. The years of battles fought and the betrayals propagated within his court served to highlight the fragility of leadership in a period defined by strife and uncertainty. Ultimately, Baldwin IV's reign is characterized not only by the warfare against Saladin, but also by the constant power struggles within his kingdom. The narrative of his reign exemplifies the tumult of an era where battles were fought not only on the battlefield, but within the very halls of power. The lessons derived from these conflicts and betrayals would reverberate through history, leaving an indelible mark on the fate of Jerusalem and its people. In the subsequent chapters, we will delve deeper into the specific alliances forged amid the chaos of impending warfare and examine how Baldwin IV's leadership decisions influenced the summer of 1187, a season that would forever alter the legacy of both the boy king and the city of Jerusalem. Chapter 5. The influence of diplomacy, alliances, and enemies. In the arena of medieval politics, the significance of diplomacy cannot be overstated, particularly within the context of Baldwin IV's reign. Despite the rampant militarism characteristic of the Crusades, diplomatic efforts emerged as critical tools for maintaining stability in the face of external threats and internal discord. This chapter examines the intricate maneuvering Baldwin undertook to forge and maintain alliances, as well as the enemies he encountered along the way. Baldwin IV ascended to the throne during a time of heightened tension, where every political decision could have significant repercussions. Almost immediately, he faced the daunting task of shoring up support among the nobility whose loyalties wavered like reeds in the wind. Understanding the delicate balance of power among the Crusader states, Baldwin sought to create a network of alliances that spanned beyond mere military cooperation. One of his most successful diplomatic efforts involved the negotiation of alliances with neighboring Christian states. Baldwin forged a particularly strong relationship with the County of Tripoli and the Principality of Antioch, aiming to unify the fragmented military forces of the Crusaders in anticipation of an impending confrontation with Saladin. The mutual interest in safeguarding their territories allowed Baldwin to harness collective resources and manpower, bolstering his military capabilities. Baldwin IV also astutely recognized the importance of relations with the Byzantine Empire. Seeking to mend the rifts left by prior crusading efforts, Baldwin communicated with Byzantine officials to foster goodwill, thereby ensuring that the Eastern Orthodox faith could be a dependable ally against the increasingly unified Muslim front led by Saladin. This diplomatic maneuvering was vital in securing military assistance and maintaining supply lines crucial for the defense of the kingdom. Furthermore, Baldwin capitalized on opportunities for marriage alliances to strengthen his position. The arrangement of marriages served as political instruments to bind adversarial factions together, often leading to a pragmatic sharing of power. For instance, Baldwin considered marrying his sister Sibylla to influential noblemen, thereby solidifying their loyalty while ensuring that the succession of the crown remained within the family. Although these marriages may not have materialized as intended, the intention to use familial ties as a means of consolidating power demonstrated Baldwin's understanding of the complex fabric of medieval politics. However, Baldwin's diplomatic efforts often faced daunting challenges. As Saladin rose to power, Baldwin was tasked with forging strategic alliances, not just with fellow Christians, but also managing relationships within his court, where loyalties were often fickle. The influence of Reynold of Tillon, whose aggressive tactics alienated potential allies, underscored the complex interplay between diplomacy and military action. Baldwin's efforts to temper Reynold's impulsiveness often put him at odds with his own commanders, illustrating the challenges inherent in balancing collaboration and individual ambitions. Baldwin's attempts at diplomatic dialogue with Saladin also highlighted the complexities of war and peace. He endeavored to establish terms of peace when possible, recognizing the need for a breather from constant conflict in order to stabilize his realm. These efforts ranged from tentative negotiations to overtures for joint military engagements against common foes, though they often met with limited success. Saladin, motivated by a broader vision of Islamic unity and dominion over Jerusalem, was not interested in prolonging an ongoing stalemate. Despite these challenges, Baldwin remained determined to use diplomacy as a tool against the looming threat of Saladin. His attempts at forming coalitions among the various factions of the Muslim world, whether through conciliatory gestures towards local Muslim leaders or cultivating relationships with rival factions, demonstrated a nuanced understanding of the broader geopolitical landscape. Diplomacy, as Baldwin would come to learn, had its vicissitudes, requiring adaptability and foresight to navigate the shifting allegiances. Ultimately, the trajectory of Baldwin IV's reign was marked by the interaction of diplomacy and warfare. The alliances forged during these years shaped the responses to the challenges posed by Saladin, while the constant flux of relationships on both the Christian and Muslim sides underscored the brittle fabric of peace. Baldwin's story illustrates how a commitment to diplomacy could provide a respite from warfare, even amid the chaos of geopolitical rivalry. In the subsequent chapters, we will further explore the personal dynamics of his reign and the eventual challenges that would eclipse Baldwin's diplomatic triumphs, especially as he faced the advancing tide of Saladin's forces. Chapter 6: A Kingdom in Decline, the Impact of Illness. As Baldwin IV's health began to deteriorate due to leprosy, the repercussions were felt far beyond his personal suffering. The disease, which first manifested in his youth, not only ravaged his body, but also critically impaired his capacity to rule effectively over a kingdom that was already beset by external threats and internal divisions. This chapter focuses on the profound impact of Baldwin's illness on the governance of the Crusader Kingdom, illustrating how his deteriorating condition influenced political dynamics, military strategies, and ultimately the fate of Jerusalem. Initially, Baldwin's illness was managed with remarkable discretion. The young king was especially adept at projecting strength and confidence, essential traits for a leader of a kingdom under siege. His advisors, including the formidable Reynold of Ctillon and the wise patriarch Heraclius, played key roles in maintaining the facade of stability, working tirelessly to support the king as he navigated the treacherous waters of medieval politics. They sought to bolster Baldwin's authority, ensuring that he could still command respect both at home and abroad. However, as the years passed, Baldwin's leprosy inevitably progressed. His physical limitations became apparent, prompting increasing concern among his subjects and allies. Meetings of the council became fraught with uncertainty. Decisions that required swift execution lagged, as each consultation took longer than the last. This delay alarmed noble families and military leaders who began to question Baldwin's fitness to rule. The king unflinchingly dealt with political challenges, including the ever-looming threat of Saladin. However, with each military campaign, the fact that he could not lead from the front, as he once had, became increasingly evident. The battles saw mixed outcomes, many of which fell short of the Crusader hopes for reclaiming lost lands. The infighting among the nobility, once kept in check by Baldwin's presence and charisma, began to surface. Factions formed, and aspirations for greater power flared among those closest to the king. During these tumultuous times, dissent grew among the lords, who had grown impatient, waiting for Baldwin's decisive leadership that now was increasingly compromised. Moreover, Baldwin IV's illness brought forth issues of succession. The king had not fathered an heir, and concerns were growing about the future of the kingdom. He had named his half-sister Sibylla's son, Baldwin V, as his potential successor. However, the young child's status was uncertain, especially given the volatile political landscape. The lack of a strong, experienced heir further destabilized the situation and pushed the nobility to vie for influence. The looming crisis of succession left the kingdom vulnerable, just as pressures from Saladin's forces escalated. As Baldwin grappled with his disease, he sought to counterbalance his declining health with shrewd diplomacy. His legacy included a series of marriages and alliances meant to bridge the rifts that threatened to shatter his kingdom. Yet these diplomatic efforts were impeded by the fracturing loyalties of a restless nobility eager to assert their claims to power. The emotional and psychological toll of Baldwin's illness cannot be overstated. Chronic pain, physical deterioration, and the specter of inevitable mortality weighed heavily on a ruler who had once exhibited vigor and ambition. He held council meetings with an increasingly somber demeanor, guiding discussions from his throne while battling the fear of relinquishing his authority. Every decision he made reflected the tension between his desires for the kingdom and the limitations imposed by his condition. Ultimately, Baldwin's declining health served as a harbinger for the fall of the Crusader Kingdom. As he became more incapacitated, the kingdom's grip on Jerusalem loosened, setting the stage for a power shift that would end in tragedy for the inhabitants of the city. As Baldwin IV's light dimmed, the challenges of maintaining unity in the face of adversity grew more acute, all while the shadows of Saladin's ambitions grew longer. In conclusion, Baldwin IV's battle against leprosy epitomized the struggle of a kingdom at risk, struggling against disease, dissent, and disintegration at a critical juncture in its history. His illness not only marked the decline of a once vibrant reign, but also foreshadowed the catastrophic unraveling of the Crusader Kingdom in Jerusalem, paving the way for the gradual resurgence of Muslim power as embodied by Saladin. Chapter 7: Legacy and Memory, Baldwin IV after his death. The legacy of Baldwin IV transcends beyond his tragic suffering and premature death. It serves as a poignant reminder of the complexities surrounding leadership, power, and mortality. Following his demise in 1185, the narrative surrounding Baldwin evolved, intertwining with the hopes, fears, and narratives of both contemporaries and subsequent generations. This chapter seeks to explore the intricate tapestry of Baldwin IV's legacy, examining how his life and reign influenced the political landscape of the Holy Land and shaped historical perceptions of his rule. After Baldwin's death, the vacuum of power created by the absence of a strong ruler triggered a tumultuous succession crisis. The throne passed to Baldwin V, Baldwin's young nephew, whose youth and inexperience, coupled with the existing divisions among the nobility, led to further instability. Baldwin IV's legacy became enshrined in the chaotic atmosphere that followed, illustrating the fragility of the Crusader Kingdom he had fought so hard to sustain. Contemporary accounts present Baldwin IV as a complex figure, brave, compassionate, yet tragic in his inability to conquer the dual enemy of illness and political fragmentation. Chroniclers of the era, such as William of Tyre, documented his struggles, depicting him not merely as a king afflicted with a dreadful disease, but as a figure of great moral strength and unwavering devotion to his people. His suffering garnered sympathy, turning him into a noble martyr whose life story became emblematic of the broader struggles of the Crusader cause. Baldwin IV's relationship with his subjects also left a profound impression. Histories portray him as a benevolent king who, despite his illness, remained committed to the welfare of his realm. His charitable actions and efforts to foster unity among his subjects left a mark on Jerusalem's populace, who revered him. This reverence led to the emergence of legends and oral traditions glorifying Baldwin after his passing, narratives emphasizing his tenacity and spirit, often romanticizing his endeavors in the face of overwhelming adversity. The dichotomy between Baldwin IV's personal afflictions and his capacity to rule produced symbolic meanings that resonated through time. His struggle against leprosy, perceived as both a literal and metaphorical battle against decay, served as a powerful allegory for the fate of the Crusader Kingdom itself. Historians have often remarked that Baldwin's reign mirrored the larger decline of Christian rule in the East, with his illness serving as a foreboding sign of the inevitable demise that would follow. In the Muslim world, Baldwin IV was acknowledged as a worthy adversary. Saladin's own writings reflect a grudging respect for the leprous king, casting him not merely as a foe to vanquish, but as a formidable warrior who defended his realm fiercely. This acknowledgement illustrates the complexities of conflict and the mutual recognition of bravery shared by leaders on both sides. As the centuries turned, Baldwin IV's legacy continued to evolve. From the raw accounts of medieval chroniclers to modern historical interpretations, he remained a figure of intrigue and reflection. Scholars and writers have revisited his life through plays, novels, and films, interpreting his narrative to explore themes of courage, sacrifice, and human frailty. This enduring fascination demonstrates how Baldwin IV, despite his personal suffering, became an enduring symbol of the complex relationship between leadership and mortality. In modern times, Baldwin IV is often discussed in the context of leadership ethics and the burdens borne by rulers. His struggles evoke discussions on the responsibilities of leaders to their people, especially when facing insurmountable challenges. This dialogue shifts focus from Baldwin merely as a historical figure to an archetype of the leader grappling with personal and political crises, inviting reflections on resilience and the human spirit. By weaving together the historical and the legend, Baldwin IV's legacy emerges as a rich tapestry, his life story casting a long shadow over the history of the Crusades and the fabric of Jerusalem's narrative. As historians continue to explore the significance of his reign, Baldwin IV remains a compelling figure whose life underscores the inherent vulnerabilities of leadership while symbolizing the enduring quest for hope in the face of despair. Chapter 8: Jerusalem's Fate, the End of an Era. In the closing years of the 12th century, as Baldwin IV's reign came to an end, the world watched with bated breath. The events following his death marked a significant turning point in the history of Jerusalem and the Crusader Kingdom, culminating in a dramatic reshaping of power in the Holy Land. This chapter examines the inexorable decline of the Crusader foothold following Baldwin's demise, analyzing the pivotal events that led to the city's fall and the eventual rise of Saladin's forces. Baldwin IV's death in 1185 was not merely a personal loss, but a symbolic fracture within the fabric of the Crusader response to the Islamic resurgence. His successor, Baldwin V, faced insurmountable challenges, most notably his youth and lack of experience in the realms of military strategy and political diplomacy. The factions within the nobility, emboldened by Baldwin IV's absence, further exacerbated the kingdom's instability. Internal disputes and power struggles intensified, creating an environment ripe for exploitation by external forces. Saladin, the brilliant Muslim leader and tactician, seized upon this instability. With a keen awareness of the faltering morale among the Crusaders, he capitalized on the opportunity to consolidate his power and unify disparate Muslim factions under his banner. Saladin's charisma and strategic acumen enabled him to launch coordinated campaigns against the fractured Crusader state. The tensions culminated in the Battle of Hattin in 1187, a catastrophic defeat for the Crusaders that crystallized the demise of Baldwin IV's legacy. The Battle of Hattin marked a pivotal juncture in the relationship between the Crusaders and Muslims, culminating in the siege and eventual surrender of Jerusalem just months later. The defeat was not merely military, it was emblematic of the ideological and spiritual disintegration that had taken hold among the Crusader ranks. Saladin, in his campaign to reclaim Jerusalem, exhibited a profound understanding of the psychological dimensions of war. His forces, fueled by unity and purpose, were able to exploit the discord within the Crusader ranks effectively. As Jerusalem fell, the implications reverberated across Europe and the Muslim world alike. For Christians, the loss of the Holy City represented a shattering blow to their faith, while for Muslims, it served as a rallying point, a symbol of a reclaimed identity. The capture of Jerusalem by Saladin in 1187 not only signified the end of an era for the Crusader Kingdom, but also ushered in a new chapter in Christian-Muslim relations. In the wake of Jerusalem's fall, Baldwin IV's legacy became a poignant reminder of the fragility of power. His reign, characterized by personal struggle and a valiant defense of the kingdom, had ultimately failed to secure the stability and enduring triumph necessary to maintain control over Jerusalem. The tales of Baldwin's bravery in the face of adversity became entwined with the narrative of loss, morphing into a melancholic tribute to a once great ruler. As history progressed, the legacy of Baldwin IV and the fall of Jerusalem spurred new crusading efforts in the decades to follow, yet none would replicate the fervor and unity that characterized the earlier Crusades. The subsequent campaigns, marked by disillusionment and fragmented leadership, further demonstrated the enduring impact of Baldwin IV's tragic reign. In conclusion, the fate of Jerusalem following Baldwin IV's death signifies both an end and a transformation, a reflection on the cyclical nature of power and the intricate interplay between individual destinies and collective histories. As the shadows lengthened in the late 12th century, the tragic story of Baldwin IV's reign continues to resonate, compelling future generations to re-examine the complex legacies left behind by those who dared to rule amidst the crucible of conflict. His narrative beckons us to reflect not only on the transcending influences of history, but also on the enduring human spirit that shapes both our aspirations and our reckonings. If you found this video helpful, inspiring, or entertaining, don't forget to hit that like button. And if you're new here, make sure to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss out on future content. Your support means the world. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below.